Hey you guys, today in the kitchen we're going to do a tomato sauce, okay? But not that grandma sauce that you're thinking about. This is a really fresh, simple one that I love it because when you go to Italy, really the first time I ever had it was in Italy, because most of the sauces you had in the States when I was younger were these grandma sauces cooked all day, really heavy, canned tomatoes, tomato paste, gives a different density to the flavor, where this fresh tomato sauce is just about fresh tomatoes cooked with garlic, maybe some shallot in there, possibly a little bit of basil, and some extra virgin olive oil, and it's fantastic. So stay with me, let's make it. Hey you guys, I'm Chef Dean Max. Welcome to the kitchen. We're going to do a tomato sauce today. So let's get started. I'm going to start by heating up a pan here. And what we're going to do is the first part of this tomato sauce is going to be the onions or shallots, if you want to use shallots. There's only a few ingredients: onions, garlic, tomato, olive oil. Oh, with some Calabrian peppers we can use, but you don't have to have this if you don't want to. So with this, I'm going to put in my olive oil like this. Now, I'm going to take my onion as well, and I have some diced up onion here already. You can see, I'm just going to add that in to start this up. Okay, but what we'll do is I'll show you how to cut one. So you just trim the onion up, cut it, right, in half, and then we're going to cut it straight down like this. Okay, probably 10 or 12 times like that, and then we're going to come back probably like 4 or 5 times cut on a horizontal to get a dice. So this is the kind of the only cutting I think that people stress out about a little bit, but you gotta learn it. Just go slow, right? So with this, you can see I'm going slow, and I'm going to put it here. And then when you get towards the end, because you don't cut all the way through when you do your horizontal cuts, you don't cut all the way through, you only cut like 3/4. It's going to give you the end piece. In that piece, what we end up doing is I don't waste it, I actually puree it up. So I'm going to put this in here. And you can see I've got my onion saute. Now, why these saute? I'm going to go ahead and put pepper in there before it really starts getting steamy, because then the steam is going to come up on my pepper grinder and make the pepper stick in there. So I'm going to do a lot of pepper. I like a lot of pepper in this, but I'm not putting crazy amounts because I'm going to put a spicy chili in mine too. Now, this end cut, like you see, I'm going to put into my pureed tomato. Now, I already started pureeing tomato like here. I don't want you guys to think that this is dirty, but I wanted to get ahead because what I'm doing is I'm taking all the tomatoes that I have here, and this is my last bit of them. You have to do them in batches, right? Because they're not all going to fit in your blender. Maybe they will. If you have a big blender, you could do that. So we're basically just trimming the ends off, okay? And then I'm going to cut these. They don't have to be cut small because they're going to get blended up anyway. But what you want to do is just cut them small enough so you can fit a decent amount in your blender, right? And then what I'm going to do is I mix too. Like I use a Roma for that because Roma's have really nice flavor for your tomato sauce. That's traditionally what you would see in Italy. Now, I'm taking this blender and I'm taking age-old history and I guess, just old methods of making this tomato sauce and turning it upside down. So don't yell at me on there, all you Italian grandmas. But because you probably didn't have a NutriBullet 40 years ago. Otherwise, you would have done the same thing. But what you can do is you can take that tomato, cut it in half, and then grate it on a box grater and get all the pulp and throw the seeds away. But I pulverize this thing so good in here that you don't need to throw the seeds away because you don't even taste them. Now, I'm not going to be able to fit all my cherry tomatoes in here because this thing's pretty stuffed. But I'm gonna blend it right now. Okay, I'm gonna let that blend back there while I stir this. I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil. Okay. And you can see the smell is wonderful. Okay. We don't want to put any color on these onions. We're just sweating them down, bring out the flavor. Okay. Now that I've blended this about halfway, right? I think I'll be able to fit my cherry tomatoes in here. So why do I put cherry tomatoes and Roma tomatoes? You don't have to do that. I just think cherry tomatoes sometimes have this beautiful sweetness that it's kind of irreplaceable. So I put it in for sweetness. Okay, now I'm gonna let that blend again. Now, I've got some garlic confit here. You've probably seen me use this before in my other recipes. You can click above here and check out the recipe for that. But I'm gonna take a little bit of spoonful of this garlic confit and put it in here, like that. I think my tomatoes are done, okay? So, now I've got my tomatoes pureed. I'm gonna put a little salt in here. Not too much, you can always salt it at the end, but probably a good teaspoon of salt. Okay, now, this garlic, you can see I'm smearing it around with our onions, right? And it's got beautiful aroma of garlic. This is a roasted garlic already. It's kind of cooked confit in olive oil, so it's sweet, the garlic. If you wanted to, you could add sliced garlic to this at this point. And what that'll do is it'll give the oil a really nice flavor of garlic. So with this, we're pretty much ready to go now. The only thing we're missing is our spice. Now, if you don't have these Calabrian chilies, these are from Calabria, these chili, and it's basically a spicy chili. This is where you get your chili flakes that you guys buy, and that's the chili. You see that? It's really small. I'll give you the bottle there. I'll attach the link so you guys can find this as well. Okay, and then I'm gonna take this, and I'm gonna take this chili, and I'm gonna make mine spicy. I'm gonna put like 4. This chili is really spicy, right? It's the same chili that you use when you have your chili flakes. So there's dried chili seeds that the Italian chili flake seeds that you buy, same thing, right? So you know how spicy that is. Now, I'm with this, I'm just gonna mince these down. Okay, let me move it here so you guys can see. And I just want it, you don't want anybody to get like a huge chunk of this tomato because it'll be very spicy on them. But you're looking to really flavor this oil with spice. And again, like I said, if you don't have this, use Italian chili flakes. Same thing, okay? This is just the fresh version. And the Calabrian chili, when it's fresh like that, wow, it's amazing aroma. Now, I'm gonna stir that in first. You can see now my onions and my garlic are gonna start to stick a little bit. Now it's time to deglaze. I add all my tomato in there, right? All right, I'm gonna turn it down because it's gonna start spitting everywhere. So we don't want it to do that. I don't want it to spit on me. Okay, now, you could transfer this at this time into a bigger pot, which is probably what I'll do, and cook it down. But I let this cook down for about 20 minutes at a medium heat. You don't need to cover it, but you do want to protect yourself from getting splatters on you, okay? Because it's going to splatter like that, okay? So with that, you just want to make sure you cover it. So this cooks down for 20 to 30 minutes tops until the liquid comes out of this. It'll separate and you'll see what I'm talking about. So stay with me and we'll be back in 20 minutes. Take a look at this. Okay, here I have my tomato cooking down. You can see how, really how, well, it's hard to see because of the steam, but you can see how thick and beautiful that tomato sauce looks. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking to cook all the water out of the tomato to the tomato cooks down and only has a little bit, you can see a little bit left in there, the water, but it's got a nice pulpy feel to it, and that's what we're looking for. And we're gonna take that, and we'll stick that in our bowl here, and then we'll just have a simple dish with that. Okay, you guys, we let this tomato cool down here, and you can see the consistency of that is really thick. All the water's reduced out of that, and it's got almost what looks a little bit like a paste, right? That's your tomato sauce. But you can see it's bright red. So the reason they cook down these long sauces in those grandma sauces is because they need to kind of get rid of that acidity that you're getting from the canned tomatoes. So with this, you don't need to cook it for a long time. It's super fresh, super simple. So I've got some cavatelli pasta I just cooked up here today. You know what I'm going to do actually is this is still warm. I just strained it. Okay, so I'm going to show you my cavatelli. It's just got a little extra virgin olive oil on it. I want to season it. I always season my pasta again. You can use spaghetti, you know, whatever you want to use. Okay, any kind of pasta, your favorite type. Okay, I'm going to put a little salt on there and a little bit more extra virgin olive oil. All right, and then what I do is I'll just toss that tomato in there. It's hot still, mine is, otherwise you would just heat it up, right? And you're going to toss that tomato sauce in like this, right? Let me add one more, okay? And that's it. Okay, you have this beautiful tomato sauce, and this fresh sauce like this, it's going to blow your mind. It's so simple. You know, you saw the dish. It's so simple. So, you know, why not try this at home? So with this, I've got some basil here. So I'm just going to tear the basil. I don't like to chop the basil up too much. I just make sure that I don't have any big stems in there. And I tear the basil up like this. It's right out of my garden. If you guys, a lot of times it's cheaper in the grocery store just to go ahead and buy the plant of basil and just put it in your kitchen. Even if you're killing it in a couple of days, it's still going to be better, right? So back here I've got some pickled eggplant that just came off the stove. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you how I play with that. I throw a little bit of spinach in it. It's hot still, okay? So if you want the pickled eggplant, click up to the top here and follow that recipe, okay? And that'll teach you how to make the pickled eggplant. Super simple dish. And what's cool about it is the pickled eggplant, I put that in the fridge for days. And later, all you're going to do is add salt. Now this one, I'm going to sprinkle the salt. Put a little extra here, okay? And I'm going to let it just lightly wilt, just from the heat of the pan. The spinach, I love spinach when it's just wilted like this. I don't like to cook spinach down, reduce all the water out of the leaves, and flatten it out. I like to have a little bit of body in there. So I'm going to let that sit for a second, okay? And then I'm going to put some cheese in my pasta here. I'm going to add beautiful Parmesan Reggiano. Getting down to the bottom of this. So, you know, always buy good Parmesan Reggiano, okay? It'll always say it. See, it says Reggiano on there, okay? Right on the heel of that. And that is saying that this is real Italian Pecorino, or excuse me, Parmesan Reggiano. What's the difference between Pecorino Romano and Parmesan Reggiano? Parmesan Reggiano is made from cow's milk, and Pecorino is made from a sheep's milk. So that's why it's drier and saltier, okay? The only reason that Parmesan is kind of dry is because it's been aged for so long. So otherwise it would be much creamier, right, when it's fresh. So I'm going to put a little bit more olive oil. You can't overdo the olive oil on this, right? And then I'm just going to put a nice spoonful of that in my plate here. So I've got, this is cavatelli. Again, like I said, you can use spaghetti, whatever you want to use. And then with that, I'm going to take my eggplant, and you can see these eggplant. Look at those beautiful, like, see, these beautiful eggplant are cooked down nicely, and they just, that hot spinach, olive oil, and eggplant rolled together, okay, with our cavatelli. And then we're going to finish that up with a little bit more on top. Now, never waste this. When you get down to the heel like this, you could actually take this heel of Parmesan. It's really not that good to eat because it's outside and it's been dried too much, but it has a lot of flavor. So I keep these and throw them in the fridge. And then sometimes I'll take a bunch of these and make a cream sauce for a creamy pasta by putting all of these heels of Parmesan in some cream, turning it on and letting it cook really light for a while, and you'll get that. You could also make, from your chicken stock, you can make a Parmesan broth by putting these heels in there in that chicken stock, simmering it down, and then later you can add a little Italian meatballs to that and spinach and have this beautiful brodo or this broth of chicken stock, but it's got the flavor of the Parmesan. So another nice way to do that. So you guys can see, super simple dish, right? Simple tomato sauce, super fresh. That's what you're looking for. That freshness of awesome summer tomatoes. And I hope you enjoy it. So click subscribe, ring that bell, and I will see you back soon in the kitchen. I'm Chef Dean Mex.